Hey everybody, it's Master Galengeist here, bringing you my review for Eternals issue 10. And I thought that this issue was okay. Not that it was horrendous in any sense, but the whole thing with the Eternals sneaking into Avengers Mountain, uh, it needed a little bit more work for it to be plausible because their whole thing is they're trying to stop Thanos, and you would think that the Eternals would go to the Avengers, and the Avengers would be like, "Yeah, let's fucking stop Thanos." You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like we've like fought the motherfucker a while, so it would be kind of helpful for them to know and be able to bring their expertise to fighting Thanos for that. So the whole sneaking in, while a good concept, needed more work for it to be kind of justified. And then we get into certain kind of things that happen with the art that kind of like that really didn't do well with me, and some strange kind of continuity things. Other than that stuff, Thanos dealing with the kind of interesting development that we got was the highlight of this issue. So we get in and we see that the machine's kind of helping us kind of lay out the plan, seeing that Thana and Icarus are kind of staying outside, and then we see that like Iron Man and Namor are pretty much talking about Cersei coming in and why Cersei is mainly going and doing stuff with Namor, and Namor's pretty much like, "Oh, you're jealous and everything," and Tony's like, "Hey, now I know how other men feel about me," and that was kind of interesting. And we see that Captain Marvel's like making fun of him about his self awareness. However, this whole scene's kind of weird because I don't mind much what they do with Namor, but Tony looks very kind of strange and a lot more like Droog in this, and I'm like, okay. And then Captain Marvel's face really doesn't look like Captain Marvel and looks like a dude to me. Okay, I don't have any problems or whatnot. It's just really kind of weird. And then everybody else pretty much kind of like works out from here. I don't know if the panel was just a weird one, but everything's kind of it kind of gets a little bit better and kind of more able to distinguish characters going forward. So, of course, we pretty much get an interplay between Namor and Cersei. She's like, "Oh, I didn't know we were showing off our abs. I would have worn something more provocative." And he's like, "Hey, I got an Atlantean bathtub that I was able to salvage, so how about we do that?" As she then brings up, like, "Oh, yeah, baths were pretty cool in the Roman period. I pretty much exclusively lived in baths." As she then leaves this earring, and the earring is pretty much used to pretty much hide the other four Eternals as they then get out to kind of see what's going on. And it's funny. Sprite's like, "Hey, let me just shut this thing off before I see something that's not age appropriate." King goes like, "Hey, listen, you've sneaked into like inappropriate movies and everything." And he's like, "Yeah, you saw this one thing, Evisceration Samurai Blood Katana." She's like, "Yeah, I don't have that memory. Was it any good?" And he's like, "No." And then the director's cut was worse, and it was like turned a 2 hour movie into a 4 hour one, which was kind of funny. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, so that's a crack. Has to be a crack at like the Snyder cut or whatnot." And then we kind of get into the more kind of thing is Makari's like, "Hey, can we just kind of get on point here? Fastos is getting screwed over to like help us out," and Ajax is being more kind of religious about this kind of thing and being like, "Listen, we got to make sure that this goes right." Let's see here. Then we go and we see that Thanos is pretty much torturing Fastos on kind of like a rack thing, uh, like the rack that you like torture people on and everything. And we're pretty much getting to see if Thanos is pretty much into this kind of sadistic kind of thing, if he's getting pleasure from the pain, which he's not, because it's like bringing him now closer to his goal. He's not really into at least this sadism for the sake of it. He's just like, "I want my goal. I want to learn more of what's going on." And then they pretty much try and leverage him by his weakness for his care for Earthlings, threatening a place to destroy it. And then, of course, Fastos does the quick math in his head and decides to give him something of like, "Hey, your parents would know the most about you, about like what's going on." And he's like, "Listen, I only got so much for you, but your parents would know most of your secrets." And the thing is, we learned that they are Eternals from Earth. So they're pretty much in cells here, and that's a big kind of thing. And I kind of wish that the issue exclusively focused on this because of how much history and everything there is on Thanos and his parents. And the thing is, I'm not that versed in that lore, but that would have been a really cool thing to delve into more throughout this issue. And it's not bad here. It's just I wish that had been more of the exclusive. So we see the rest of the Eternals pretty much like going through Ajax asking for forgiveness for trespassing, where Makkari is like, it's just a corpse, it isn't here anymore. So they then just start like going through. We see that Thanos has pretty much been killing his parents over and over again and just going kind of nutty and using his rage upon them. We see that there's still a good amount of Avengers in Avengers Mountain. We see, of course, Echo, Phoenix, Thor, Captain Marvel, and of course the Star Brand. This is where the continuity thing kind of goes a little bit weird. If Namor is on the Avengers team, that means that Star Brand should technically be in her young woman form, because in an Avengers issue, she utilized her powers and that made her grow exponentially to pretty much young womanhood. Somewhere around later teens, early 20s potentially. And the thing is, we see them at the Great Machine is pretty much like talking about like, hey, the Eternals are a planetary defense system. The Star Brand is. They should get along, but they don't. And she pretty much senses, there's an alert going on with an Eternal transgression, and she starts kind of flying around to kind of see what's up. Let's see. Thanos tries to see if he can like completely kill his parents, but of course that can't be done otherwise than just like temporarily doing the machine or destroying the Earth. You can't do that. And of course Thanos is like, all right, fine, I'm done. Let's put them on the torture devices to try and get some information out of them. Starbrand finds the group, but Sprite is able to transform into pretty much this Pobble-Peebs thing and just play with her and like and swearing that this will turn out much better than the last time that she babysat someone. Let's see over there. And then we see that Thanos keeps torturing them and saying that like, oh, I've got the rare opportunity to inflict pain on someone that's caused my pain. And the mother's like, hey, you're the cause of all my pain. And he's like, no, untrue. And I'm like, no, you can try and play that kind of thing. Be like, nope, you're the architects of your own. It's like, no, I mean, you've got free will and everything, and you, for your own rage and pleasure, were killing your parents over and over again. Yeah. So pretty much he plays the same gambit on them, being like, alright, listen, tell me what I want to know, or I destroy this town. And the father's like, yeah, it'd be better if they were, like, killed. And the mother's like, I don't believe in unconditional love, but I do believe in unconditional hate, as Thanos then sets that off. And we see an event of, like, what the kind of button would do to create the plasma event to destroy the town. We see that Icarus and Athena are pretty much like in their holding pattern before they hear the thing and decide to go off and help the town rather than stay. Which we'd have to see how that would kind of turn out. We see that they need a certain amount of Eternals, but Makkari's able to move fast enough to kind of set it off as Ajax communes with the god as it starts waking up. But of course it sets off the Avengers mountain defense mechanisms, and Kingo decides to pretty much be the defense, saying he like always did want to start a Die Hard remake, which is a badass kind of thing to kind of say at the end. And that's it, setting it up for the next issue. So this will be my last review for this, as I'm looking into other ones, which kind of I was alright with this series, and granted, just because this one was kind of iffy on the premise of the Eternals sneaking into Avengers Mountain, doesn't mean that I didn't like what came before, and there could be some good kind of stuff later on. So if you're into the Eternals, or want to learn a little bit more about their lore or whatnot, I would definitely check it out. Thanos' stuff was really kind of cool, because I kind of wanted them to dig more into that, and that would actually have been a better kind of use to kind of get that going, to get us more information of what's going on. And this did a good job of delving into his character, as he was we saw two different kind of sides of him. Him torturing Phastos to try and get the information that he wanted versus him torturing his parents and just going completely off the rails with it. That was the really kind of cool aspects that I really like digging into. And normally, I like the artwork for this because I loved what, let me see, Esad Ribic had done for, like, the Thor series and everything. But there was just weirdness of, like, how Tony looked too much like Droog and Captain Marvel was just freaky looking at me. And I'm like, what the fuck? But everything kind of after that kind of felt more along the lines of the usual kind of what was going on. And I don't mind the continuity error because I always know that certain kind of things pop up, but that was just a strange kind of thing that happened. Now, granted, of the kind of continuity errors that come up, that one actually makes the most sense for that to kind of happen because it was kind of a big development that kind of happened pretty closely, and if you're not appraised of that ahead of time, you'd kind of just be like, okay, we've got toddler Starbrand at the moment, and then you're like, ah, shit, now it's like late teens, early 20s Starbrand. So, well, that I can kind of understand with what was going on. So, overall, I thought this was an okay issue because it balanced out with stuff that I'm like, okay, they could have done a little bit better here with stuff that I was like really more into with like Thanos' whole thing with his parents because that's a big thing to do. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.